I want to welcome once again Vice President Harris and members of her delegation to Ghana. As we say in Ghana, Akwaba. You're amongst the people who pride themselves on their sense of hospitality, and I hope that by the end of your visit, you'll agree with this claim. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this visit by the American Vice President is to reaffirm the ties of cooperation and the bonds of friendship that our two countries attach to our relations with each other. Vice President Harris and I had the opportunity of meeting in the White House in 2021 and subsequently, where we both pledged our commitment to exploring further areas of interest for the mutual benefit of our two countries. This visit reinforces our commitment to engage each other further to this end. Our two countries share similar aspirations and values. We're both committed to democratic governance with its respect for human rights, the rule of law, and the principles of democratic accountability. We're member states of the United Nations with a mutual attachment to its values and principles. We have collaborated effectively on several matters over the years, and a major outcome of this afternoon's meeting was the reaffirmation of our commitment to collaborate further and provide mutual support at both multilateral and bilateral levels. The Vice President and I discussed at length how to boost further our political and economic relations, cultural and people-to-people exchanges, as well as our cooperation at the multilateral level. Our deliberations also centered on driving investment opportunities, domestic and foreign, into our two countries, and the need for enhanced cooperation and partnership in our development efforts. Towards the realization of the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we touched on the need to promote a better world and address global issues relating to the 17 goals. I also used the occasion of my talks with the Vice President to express the appreciation of the Ghanaian people and their government, to the government and people of the United States for the support we have received since the establishment of diplomatic relations between our two countries. I've made it known to the Vice President that Ghana is endowed with abundant natural resources, which my government is seeking to use as the basis to transform its economy from its current reliance on the export of raw materials into a value-adding one, with the vision of taking Ghana out of dependence on aid to a self-reliant economy beyond aid, and that is a Ghana beyond aid. I'm pleased to state that Vice President Harris pledged America's support for this transformative agenda. It is this transformation that will give us the best opportunity to derive maximum benefit from our abundant natural resources, enable us create a firmer foundation for meaningful, long-term economic and commercial relations with the United States of America. In conclusion, I'm happy to state that this afternoon's meeting has further boosted the steadfast cooperation between us, and Ghana will continue to collaborate with the United States of America at all levels, particularly towards the peaceful resolution of conflicts and in the search for global peace and security to promote sustainable development around the world. I thank you for your attention.
Akufo-Addo, it is wonderful to be in Ghana and to be again with you. As you have mentioned, I was honored to host you at the White House in 2021, and then again to meet with you during the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit last December, and then to be here today to accept the invitation you so graciously offered that I would visit your beautiful country. So thank you for the warm welcome. President Biden and I have made clear that the United States is strengthening our partnerships across the continent of Africa. And we are guided not by what we can do for Africa, but what we can do with Africa and our African partners on this continent. African nations such as Ghana play a critical role in a number of global issues, whether it be the issue of food security, the climate crisis, or resilient supply chains. African voices, including that of Ghana, are critical to global peace and security, including the defense of the United Nations Charter and African ingenuity and innovation, I am certain will shape the future of the world. As I begin this week-long visit across the continent, it is wonderful to start here in Ghana. Mr. President, under your leadership, Ghana has been a beacon of democracy and a contributor to global peace and security. Your leadership in particular and personal engagement has strengthened the ties between the diaspora and the continent of Africa. And President Joe Biden and I are grateful to have you as a partner. Our countries share a long history, our people share a long history. As you have mentioned and we have discussed, in 1957, when Ghana gained independence, your nation inspired millions of Americans and millions more around the world. Martin Luther King Jr. and many other Americans were here to celebrate that occasion and to witness the dawn of a new era. And since then, the promise of Ghana continues to draw us near. Hundreds of thousands of Black Americans came here 4 years ago to participate in the Year of the Return, and more return every year. They have come here as a reminder of the history of slavery. They have come to honor their lineage and to understand their ancestry. And I thank you, Mr. President, as we have discussed, for your personal leadership in prioritizing engagement with the African diaspora. Our people-to-people ties are a source of strength, and the Biden-Harris administration is committed to these ties. As you have mentioned, we have had today, this afternoon, a wide-ranging discussion. We have discussed a number of important topics, including the importance of concepts and priorities such as freedom and liberty, which are, to be sure, at the core of who we are as Americans and who Ghanaians are. Mr. President, you put it well during the State of the Nation a few weeks ago, and I'm going to quote you when you said, "It is important we never forget that democracy is not a static achievement, but a promise that needs continuous nurturing." I agree. I often, in fact, say that there is a duality when it comes to democracies, in that they are both strength and an exhibition of strength, and they are fragile. We appreciate your leadership in response to recent democratic backsliding in West Africa and standing up for democratic principles around the world. We also recognize Ghana's significant contributions in the Sahel, and I thank you for your leadership there. To help address the threats of violent extremism and instability, today I am pleased to announce $100 million in support of Benin, Ghana, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo. Last week, President Joe Biden announced a strategic plan for coastal West Africa as part of the United States strategy to prevent conflict and promote stability. Today, funding and the announcement that I've just made will help implement that plan and will address security, governance, and development issues in the region. With regard specifically to the economy, I recognize the challenges Ghanaians are facing, especially in the wake of a global pandemic and the disruptions caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We welcome Ghana's commitment to reforming its economy to deliver sustainable and inclusive growth. We support Ghana's engagement with the IMF and will continue to push for all bilateral creditors to provide meaningful debt reduction for countries that need it, including Ghana. We must work together as an international community to ease the debt burden that is facing far too many countries. It is critical to do so, to build long-term economic growth and prosperity, and to increase U.S. investment, a key priority for our administration, and in particular, private sector investment. Our partnership with Ghana is already strong, and today, Mr. President, I believe we strengthened it even more. I thank you for your gracious hosting of this important conversation and all of the work we will do going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.